Hi, thanks for checking out the CAD Design Challenge for this week. This week I'm looking at building with shipping containers. Shipping containers are an appealing thing to build with because you immediately have something that's totally rigid, really strong, and really weatherproof right when you start. But they do have some major disadvantages to them. Oftentimes you have to build an entire house inside of them in order to insulate and run electrical and plumbing. And oftentimes it'll take a lot of work to make them legal for the code of your area. Um, that said, you can do some really interesting things with them because they are so much more rigid than the usual house construction. And so if you build them in a modular method, you can make something that's really creative and awesome. This is one of my favorites that I encountered in New Orleans. It's a youth program there. And it does a really great job of moving these structures and using them both as interior spaces and as exterior spaces because they are so strong. You can weld to them and connect to them and orient them in a way that makes some really interesting shapes. So what I've done is create the simplest, somewhat believable model of a shipping container. I looked at a bunch online that I could use, and the files were just too big. They're too cumbersome to be able to make something that worked. But a basic shipping container, they come in many different sizes, smaller than this, but the sort of typical one is 40 feet long, 8 feet wide, and about 8 feet tall. So these are the same containers you would see on a ship that would transfer goods all across the ocean. So what we're thinking about, we don't want to just design something that doesn't have a point. So thinking about how we would design something would use the design process. Starting with empathize, who are we building for, and what would they care about? So empathize, I want to build a building for blank. Define, blank people would care most about these three things. Ideate, these are three strategies that I could use to meet the needs of blank. And then prototype, I'm actually going to try this strategy. So one thing I might go for this time would be an affordable multi-unit dwelling. I would maybe think that the people living there would care most about having space, making it customizable and personalizable, and also sense of openness and airiness that maybe would be lacking in some structures like that. Ideate, I would come up with three different strategies to do that, maybe three different sketches I could make that would show this is a way that I could orient these shipping containers in order to create something that feels really awesome, feels really cool. Three different ways. And then prototype, I'm actually going to try this strategy. So I've been thinking a little bit about what I would do, but mostly I'm curious about what you're going to do. So I'm going to leave this blank for now, but I do want you to think through this process as you start to design something. Looking at Fusion, let's see what this would look like here. So this is the unit I designed. I combined it all into one body, which is a little annoying because then you can't take out one of the doors or something like that, but it makes it easier to move copy these shapes, and you can always cut by drawing a shape and then cutting a window. So the first thing I want to show you is how to move these around and make something interesting. So I'm just going to go to Modify, Move Copy, or shortcut M, and grab this shape. And then I'm going to use, it is going to be a little challenging here. It's going to take a little bit of power. I think that my computer probably won't be able to take a video while I do this, so I'm going to shoot another video after I've moved some things around using Move Copy, and then we can look at how we would cut a shape out of that too. So check back with the next video.